Hey guys, I'm super pumped. This is our first group Zoom, and you guys are in for a treat. I know most of you know Ashley Sinclair. She is actually my sponsor in the business. I am super fortunate that, well, we kind of joined together, but I've still been able to learn from her for almost 8 years now. And tonight she is going to share with you guys. Let me make sure everyone's muted. She's going to share with you guys just parts of her journey and what she's learned in leadership over the last 8 years. We have been through a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of different things with our teams and businesses. And obviously I've been a big part of her journey, but I'm excited to hear the lessons that she's learned from her side. And I'm so excited for all of you guys to hear. I know Ashley doesn't know a whole lot about this group. So Ashley, these are a bunch of sideline triple pres ambassadors that teamed up and just wanted our diamonds and above to build relationships with each other. We kind of talked about how powerful it's been for us to have those sideline friendships and how we wanted that for all of our teams. And so that's why you're seeing all of these fun names on here, is because we just decided that we would rather open this up and be one team, one mission, and really just bond and have those extra connections that sometimes you don't get at the diamond level. So we're really pumped about it. The page is going awesome so far, super interactive. People are just sharing amazing tips, and we're just really excited to have you on tonight to share all the good stuff with us. I mean, you could just spill your heart out. I know you're really fired up from being at Tony Robbins and just being in top 20 and working towards Costa Rica. So we're excited for whatever you have for us.
You're the best. Well, I am the fortunate one for having, I just got a message saying we're doing book club, right? And I just was like, oh, I forgot about that again, because I thought it was Monday all day. Oh my gosh. Where was I? I'm so glad you guys are doing this, and I feel like the fortunate one, truly. I see so many of you that are on here, that are on my team, and some of you that I've just had the privilege to get to know over the years. And so, you guys are smart to do this. I'm going to be really honest tonight and just share a couple of things. One of them is that whenever I started, I was not one team, one mission at all. I was probably the furthest thing from it. And it was a little bit of it was taught to me, but more than anything, I think just coming from a retail background, it was, it didn't make sense that you would share what's working and that you would tell your competition what's going right, and so I didn't really understand that whole side of it. Because I would never have gone to the other, boutiques down the street and been like, hey girls, what's up? This is working for me. Let's all get together at a conference and wear the same color clothes. Then it'll be great. We'll stay up late and have drinks and dance. It'll be so fun. That's just not at all what I was focused on or thought about. But, so I'm proud of you guys for doing this, because I think the earlier you can learn from other people and what's working for them and what's not working. An intelligent person is a person that can learn from other people's mistakes and then not have to go out and make it their own. So anyway, I'm excited for you guys. But do you want me just to rapid fire these off? Because I just jot down 4 things I wanted to share, things that
I say go for it. I mean, it's all leaders on here. I feel like just throw it at us. We're ready.
It doesn't have to be interview style.
Nah.
Okay. So I just wrote down 4 things that I feel changed the game for me. Things that whenever they clicked with me, business changed. And they were all, some of them stuff I did wrong and then some stuff that I did right. But one of the main things is focus. And I know that Mark preaches this a lot and talks a lot about where you stare, you steer, or where you steer, you stare, or he always messes it up and now I mess it up. But one of those cheesy quotes like that, the whole point being that what you look for, you find. And I have seen this time and time again in my own business, the times whenever I've been really down or upset or frustrated with the company or frustrated with my team or even frustrated in my marriage. It's all been about where my focus is, and it's all been about what I'm looking for. And, the brain wants to prove itself right. And so if you are telling it every single day that business is declining, my volume sucks, my team is horrible. By the way, you sound like that in your own brain, I'm sure. But, if that's what you're thinking about, if that's what you're focused on, guess what? The brain is trying to unlock all kinds of ways to prove that to be right. And so you're going to notice the things that are wrong. And I've done this in my marriage before. I have. We've been married almost 17 years, and it hasn't always been easy. And a lot of that is because I am not an easy person to live with, but also because there are times whenever I get really focused on the things that he doesn't do right, and the things that he does wrong, and the things that bug the crap out of me. And I can get so focused on those things that I forget to look at the things that are good and that are right. And so I would highly encourage you to really think about where your focus is, because where your focus is and what you're thinking about, what you're in, the conversations you're engaging in, the sideline chatter or the groups that you're in, or the messages that you're in, all of those things, you guys, they very slowly begin to take root in your brain and create new brain waves and brain patterns for you. I probably said that the wrong way. I'm not a brain scientist, but I do know that your brain will remap to go down that negative path if that's what you're feeding it. And so what you look for, you find. If you wake up every day expectant, if you wake up every day excited, if you wake up every day talking to yourself like you're the most badass girl out there, if you wake up talking to yourself like you're the biggest loser, either way, guess what? You're going to try to prove yourself right all throughout the day. And so I would encourage you to kind of I have a couple of different lists that are on my phone. One of them is for my marriage, all the things that Danny does right. And it's a list that I've been running for a long time, so that on those bad days, or those days when I go, God, he just doesn't get me, or what was I thinking? I got married so young, whatever those weird things are that go into my brain, I'm able to combat those with truth and know, wait a minute, there's all these amazing things. I just have to look for them. And I have one that's for my team and one that's for this business, so that on those hard days or times when I'm like, what are they doing? Or what were they thinking? Or why didn't they do it this way? Or why didn't they ask me to help run the company? I could clearly have it figured out. Then I can go back and look and see, what are the things that are going right? What are the things that this company has done really well? What are the ways that my life has changed because of it? And so focus, I think, has been huge for me. And it's what helps keep my head in the game. And those times whenever I am off or I'm in a funk, I can almost always point it back to a negative thought or a negative ways that I was talking to myself and focused on the wrong thing. So focus. What you look for, you find. It is one of my most favorite quotes. I think the other thing that I wrote down is the quote, "If it's to be, 'tis up to me." I feel like from the very beginning, I looked at a diamond chart and I said, okay, this is what it takes. This is what I have to do. I never waited around. And I feel like I'm talking to, I know I'm talking to a group of leaders. And so I'm talking to a group of people that know this, but it's important to remember it as you're even building to the next level and the next level. And even once you go ambassador and you're building 2.0, or even when you're at double or triple ambassador, to continue building. But that idea that if this is going to happen, it's up to me. And I love that this business allows us to be able to make money from leading a team and from watching other people grow and from helping them. But at the end of the day, if your promotion is going to happen, nobody cares about it the same way that you do. And so if it's to be, 'tis up to me. And kind of taking that power and realizing that in saying that, in grasping that concept, you have 100% power over your business and the things that you can control. And so anyway, that's another thing that I feel like I kind of learned really early on, and I have to remind myself of, that waiting around for other people to get the job done is not going to get the job done. And then I meant to go grab this piece of paper that I just printed out today. The other thing that I wrote down is Well, I feel like we should ask for thoughts or musings or ponderings, because I just feel like
well, I was just going to say, that's advice that I give to a lot of leaders when they are like pushing for a promotion and they're frustrated with the pace of their team. I'm like, well, of course, you know, that Ruby isn't going to push as fast and as hard as you are when you're pushing for a diamond or above promotion. Like, it's not even fair to put those expectations on your team when you're the one pushing for a $10,000 bonus or whatever. Like, not that they shouldn't be fighting for whatever their goal is, but it just looks so different. You know, each time you're fighting for a new rank, it looks so much different than the time before. And I think we have to keep that in mind and give our teams grace. It's so easy to look at them and be like, they would just XYZ. But if you want the 4-figure paycheck or the 6-figure income, like, you have to be willing to step in and kind of pick up the slack for, you know, maybe what other people aren't doing. So,
well, I even think about like you going triple and you going prez versus watching you go ambassador. I mean, it was just a completely different promotion. It was a completely different promotion. Not that you weren't focused or committed or disciplined or, you know, putting in 18-hour days to try to go triple and to try to go prez, but it was just a different side of you that month that you were, you know, pushing for ambassador. And I agree. I think every single promotion is another level of commitment to yourself and showing up for yourself in maybe ways that you haven't been before. And so, yeah, I think just that idea of taking ownership of my business helps me so much year in and year out to realize that it's nobody's job but my own, to get myself where I want to be. And I find some, I guess, peace in that, if you want to call it that. Like, part of my fire comes from knowing that if I want to make this happen, it's up to me to make this happen. And so anyway, I feel like that's something that luckily early on just kind of clicked with me, and hopefully it clicks with you with your charts, and you're not sitting around waiting for things to show up or for things just to happen, but you're showing up for yourself. So the third thing that I wrote down is consistency. And I know you guys know this, and I know you guys are consistent leaders or you wouldn't be on here. But I think when I'm talking about consistency, I'm talking about the magic, finding that magic that works for you, that gets you out of bed every day. Now, I do have a disclaimer and like feel like I need to put in parentheses that I did call Alyssa today and complained that I was completely off sync for almost a week, for several days, just being on vacation. And, you know, when you're around family and they don't get that being on your phone, like you're not just jacking around playing Tetris, like you really are working. And so there was kind of that pull to be fully present with family that we see once a year, and then also to work. And so anyway, there was definitely some things that I could have and should have done better, but finding that consistency and that thing that works for you. So I'm really big on putting the things first that I enjoy the most and putting those up at the top. Some people say like, oh, do the hardest things first, or do the things that you hate the most. And I'm like, no, I want to wake up and be excited to go to work and be excited and have joy in my heart, not to wake up and be like, oh, I have to send messages today or whatever it is. And so I kind of sandwich the things. So I start with things that I really like, and I end with things that I really like. And then in the middle, that's the things that I'm sort of like, it's not really my favorite thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. And so it's kind of like my workout. Like, my trainer has learned that if we'll start off with like a 5-minute walk where we just power walk and we talk, and I'm not really doing anything that's too terribly difficult, and then we end with stretching, and then all the hard stuff that I hate is like in the middle. It's the thing that gets me the most excited to work out, is the very beginning and then the very end. And so I kind of take the same approach with my business every single day. And so I just wrote this down. I'm going to go grab it because I think it's still in the printer. I don't know if you guys are, I'm constantly on the hunt and on the search for the thing that is going to work and like make me $1 bajillion. Hang on. Okay. Luckily, I was wearing shorts tonight. Sometimes I do these in my underwear. Not really, just kidding. Well, kind of. Okay, so this is like a new thing I'm trying that I wrote down for today, just to be able to keep in my little notebook of all my stuff that I do. So I have a rule of 5, I have a rule of 7, I have a rule of 6, I have this. I'm just, like I said, I'm always looking for the thing that is going to work for me. And so these are my numbers. This is what I try to focus on. But is this backwards? Is it backwards? Okay.
Oops.
So obviously starting with gratitude and writing down my 5 things, and then just kind of doing a quick little checklist. Who am I going to encourage? Doing the checklist. Following 50 new people every 5 that I do a quick checklist, because this is all stuff that can be done in between. And Alyssa, I think Lindsay did something like this with the bubbles one time. This is kind of the same idea. Remember how she did like the little bubbles for every 5?
That's right. Yep.
I couldn't find a tally mark. So interacting, I'm learning that interacting on stories, I'm doing a lot better than when I'm just interacting on people's posts. Adding 20 new people on Facebook, and then sending out 50 messages. And this has kind of been one of my non-negotiables, is that sending out the 50 messages, whether it's, I call them my, hey, I want to get to know you better, or it's just the full on, like, you'd be amazing at this business. Can I send you some info? Or if it's follow up, whatever it is, just making sure that 50 messages are going out. And then of course, every single day doing some kind of self-development, checking birthdays, posting to stories, because this is something I'm not good at and I'm trying, and then posting on my team page. So you guys, whatever your like non-negotiables are, find those things, make yourself a little list, whatever it is that you have to do, but find that thing that is going to help you be consistent every single day. Because here's the deal. I have had $80,000 checks, and I have had $20,000 checks, and I've had every single thing in between. And the truth is that I got all of those checks by being consistent. What would you love to see? Like I just thought about this, like in 5 years, if you knew that your highest check that you had, that's what you're making monthly, because you're being consistent, not even on the months that you're really that you're really working for a promotion, but on those months, whenever you're just showing up and being consistent, if you could consistently be making $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, 30, 40, 50,000 a month, just for showing up and being consistent, that those aren't even your crazy paychecks. You guys, like, that's what is possible and available in this business if you will continue to show up and be consistent. And I feel like a lot of times we get, and I am this way because, and this is why I'm talking about consistency, because this is a constant struggle for me in every aspect of my life, because I gravitate toward and live for the highs. I am never in the middle. I am always like off in the bar ditch one way or the other. I am either all in or I want nothing to do with it. And the one thing that I have found in this business, or the one thing that I have found is within this business, I'm able to be consistent and just show up every day and not just live for the highs because, well, I don't know why. It's like an anomaly, because in every other aspect of my life, it is either amazing or it is nothing. I am all in or I am doing nothing. And so I really, I really feel like the thing that has kept me around for 8 years has been this waking up and daily consistently doing the things, whether I want to do them or not, doing them over and over and over and over. And then looking at them and kind of evaluating and going, okay, how could I do it better? How could I streamline it even more? How can I make this even more duplicatable throughout my teams? Those kinds of things. How can I show my team more every single day what I'm doing? And so, Alyssa, you're like the queen of consistency. Do you have any thoughts or reflections or ponderings there? Or are you sending out messages while we're on the Zoom? Because knowing you probably have signed up the DT.
I'm not. I am just listening. I told everyone on this page, I was like, part of my goal this month is to be a student and not the teacher, and to get on Zooms and actually just listen instead of feel like I always have to schedule things and lead things and all of that. So I am totally 100% focused on you right now.
I'm giving you a hard time because you're just the kind of gal that could multitask and sign up 5 DTs in the middle of a Zoom. So
well, and normally I do, but I'm not. No, I mean, I think what you said is, accurate in my business. Like, there were definitely times where I did not hustle, that I didn't fight for a promotion, that I didn't even have a chart out, which don't do that, like have a chart. And that's part of the reason I think that, like that you are consistent at this business. Cause as long as you have a goal or a chart or something in front of you, I feel like it's a little bit easier for someone that's competitive or that's goal driven to stay consistent at it. But there were so many months especially when I owned the store, that I showed up though. The thing is, like, I've always showed up. I've at least posted. I've always taken care of my team. I've always done the things. I just haven't always been totally in it to win it. But I'm totally proof that if you do that and you just stick around long enough, and then you finally decide that your goal is worth it, or you do finally sit down and decide, like, I have to go presidential or whatever your goal is, you can do it. The problem is so many people just, take time off and then come back with that huge goal. And if you guys can just learn to be consistent through the valleys of life, then when life gets back on track, you haven't lost ground. Like, you're still there. People still know what you're doing. And I think that's where a lot of people, fall short, that I see so many people just completely drop off rather than just taking a breather. They take a full break.
I agree. And, that is one of those things I would say about you, and I would say about several people on our team, is that, when I look back, I can point to the consistency, and I can point to, we just kept showing up. Like, we showed up when we were this number, like this, when we were top 10, we showed up when we were number 16, we showed up when we were number 8, we showed up, like, we're going to show up this year, no matter what it is. Like, we just continue to show up. And I think that is the absolute key to the success of this business for anyone. We only see these crazy highs, and that's what we chase. And so then when we're not having that kind of month, like, how many of you, raise your hand, like, you start off the beginning of your month and it's not stellar, and so you kind of write off the rest of the month? You're like, well, I guess maybe end of month it'll pick up. I hope end of month it'll pick up, because, like, this is really starting out pretty crappy. Like, I've done it. And that's what I'm talking about, where we can't just chase the high all the time. That sounds funny. Like, we can't just chase that. I mean, y'all know what I mean. We can't just chase the high all the time. There has got to be that growth in the consistency, just in the day in and day out of working our business. And the cool thing is, and I had a neat talk with Camille about this the other day, is like, I don't want to get, all credit, I guess, would go to Tony Robbins and just helping me kind of see that that's how I've lived my whole life, is just chasing this, like, ultimate experience. And so when I don't get it, I live in this constant state of disappointment. And I feel like for the first time, I'm finally waking up to this idea that, wait a minute, it really is about the progress. It really is about showing up for myself every day. It really is about the day in, the day out consistency, not just in my business, but in every aspect of my life, and being fully present and sitting down and working my business and doing it with joy and doing it with excitement and love, knowing what I've got my hands on. And when we fall into that trap of feeling like it's always got to be the best day or the best month every single day, and we don't just pat ourselves on the back and go, you know what, I freaking showed up for myself today. Like, I'm really, really proud. I wanted to do this, but I did this instead for my business, or I did this instead for self-development. And I wanted to do this, but instead I did this because I knew it would get me closer to my goals. And Alyssa's exactly right. I feel like that's where so many of us kind of derail. And I see it happen to people on my team and within the businesses. They just kind of start fading or coasting off to the side, and there's not that consistency. So then when they're waiting for that surge of passion and excitement and just like fuel, which that's not where I want to live. I don't want to just live for conference and green carpet, if you want to put it in that perspective. And I want to live like in the middle of April and on August the 8th or whatever day it is. I'm not the 7th. It's the 7th. It's a Wednesday, by the way, if you thought it was Monday. Like, I want to be alive and awake and here and showing up for my life every single day. Now, today, not waiting around for my team to excite me, or for Mark to post or say something, or to hear some great message, or whatever it is. Like, that's not what I want my life to be anymore. And when I look back, it kind of has been. It's been this series of just like doing something crazy or a high or whatever it is, and then kind of coming down off of that and feeling like a failure in some way. And that's, I'm over that, and so much more about the showing up day in, day out. You know, that's where your confidence is going to be built in this business. That's where you're going to have the confidence to step up and show up, to be able to go double diamond and triple diamond and pres and ambassador. It was the consistent actions over several years that made Alyssa go, hey, I'm going to take this consistent action. I'm going to pour fuel on it. I'm going to ride this wave of momentum that I've got with this crazy team that's coming up. And I think we're going to make some crazy stuff happen. And I watched them go from here to here, but it wasn't just this 1 month. It was that consistency over 7-8 years that, you know, led to that point. So, anyway, I think finding your magic, I always say finding your magic, like what is working for you that makes you want to show up for yourself every day. Always having a chart out. Always. I don't care if it's a Ruby chart or an executive chart, every single month, you should have somebody you're charting. I know that an ambassador chart looks crazy, even with the changes. I know that sometimes a double diamond chart can look crazy, but you guys, every single month, you should be working to fill out an executive or a Ruby chart or whatever. Somebody should have some kind of promotion, even if it's from 0 to the 400 club. Like, there should be a promotion every single month. Every single month, some kind of promotion, because you, again, we'll go back to, if it's to be, it's up to me. So like, whether it's a 400 box, whether it's an executive or a Ruby, there should be some kind of growth and promotion. Even if things aren't growing in another area, there should be growth somewhere on your team, and it should start with you. So there's that. And then the last thing I wrote down that I think has been huge, this has been huge for me. And it's, you know, when we were at Tony Robbins, he was talking about how the leap from bad to good in your life is a huge leap. To take your life from bad to good. So let's just say this for your business too. To take your business from bad to good, it is a huge leap. It requires a lot of effort. It requires the consistency. It requires passion. It requires energy. It requires so much, right? And then you try to take that leap and you go, you know what? Things are good, but I really want them to be great. And so you try to take that leap from good to great. And you guys, the difference from good to great is another huge jump. It's this crazy leap from here to here that is going to take you to that next level, because good isn't good enough, right? We want to be great. And then there's this other big leap from great to outstanding. And that leap from great to outstanding is huge, you guys. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It takes so much effort, so much energy, requires so much. But then that effort from outstanding to excellence, to legendary, to amazingness, to balls outness, to whatever you want to call it that works for you, like that level, you guys, from there to there, it is this much. It is razor thin. It is 2 millimeters. It is waking up an hour earlier so that you can get stuff done before your kids get there. Before your kids get there, hopefully they're at your house sleeping, but when your kids wake up, it is staying up an hour later. It is saying no to, great things so that you can have excellent things. It is putting in that extra time. It's putting in that extra effort. It's training your brain. It's the extra self-development that you do. It's curating and defining your circle and making it tighter and tighter about who you let speak into your life. I have had to let go of some people, and my God, it hurts so bad. I can't even stand it. Like somebody's just scrubbing a scab with sandpaper. That's a lot of S's, but it hurts so bad. At times to let people go, but realizing that they did not serve this time it was terrible. It was terrible, Alyssa. But realizing that there are people that couldn't go with me to the next level, it hurts so bad to let them go. But it was absolutely necessary, again, because they were there for me during a good point in my life and maybe even at a great point in my life. But if I want to go from outstanding to excellence, every single area of my life, I've got to be able to go through it and say, am I requiring excellence in this area of my life? Am I requiring excellence here? Am I requiring excellence here? And only I can hold that standard up for myself. But that's the kind of life that I want. That's the kind of life that I am pushing for and working for and trying to show up for every single day, is that excellence. Not just good, not just great, not even outstanding, but I want that level of excellence. And if we want that in our business, we have got to be willing to do what other people won't do, what other people will say, well, that's crazy, or slow down, or, you don't have to do all of that, or why are you still doing this? I mean, they don't get it. They don't get it because those dreams that we've got, they're our dreams, and they fall within that measure of excellence, at least mine do. And once I started opening myself up and realizing that, wait a minute, there is so much more. There is so much more. And a lot of it has nothing to do with money, like it used to for me all day, every day, by the way. But once I realized that, you guys, things have started to shift, and I've been requiring more from myself and more excellence from myself in so many different areas of my life, because that's what I want. The goals and the dreams that I've got, they're insane and they're crazy, and the things I'm visualizing are nuts. And so they're going to require that extra 2 millimeters to be able to reach that level of excellence. And so anyway, that's kind of been my last, some of these are old things I've learned that have served me well. And that's my newest one that has really just got my mind reeling and going every single morning, that is firing me up and getting me out of bed and going, yeah, it's time to chase excellence today, in every single aspect of my life. And then to be able to give myself grace that journey to excellence is also a process, that I'm not just because I decide today doesn't mean I wake up excellent today. I have to put in the work, and I have to fight for that and show up for myself every single day. Doing that is building more and more confidence, making me go, hey, wait a minute, maybe I can own my own plane. Hey, wait a minute, maybe I can get to a point where I'm giving away $1 million a year. Hey, wait a minute, maybe some of these things that are insane that I never thought I could have, or that God would allow me to be a part of, maybe they're not that crazy. Maybe they're just me showing up every single day for myself and demanding that excellence from myself. And so I just got sweaty a little bit thinking about some things, but there you go. That's all I got. I'm sweating. I'm also a little bit hungry, but I'm demanding excellence.
Demanding excellence. Oh, someone's not muted. I'm jealous that I was not at Tony Robbins to experience all of it, but I'm excited I'm getting to listen to all of the fire that came out of it. If you guys have questions, you can feel free to throw them in the chat. I think Ashley can hang out for just a couple minutes and answer some questions. I do love what Tiffany said. I refuse to tell my son or my husband, sorry guys, this just got too hard, or I just don't feel like working today.
Yeah. And that's part of finding that thing that's just bigger than yourself. We have to. And so if you've outgrown your dream, that's okay. That's absolutely okay, but it's time to find another dream. And I think what I realized is I had outgrown several of those things that were on my dream board. I had either accomplished them, or I realized they weren't this burning desire anymore for me. It wasn't that I gave up on them. I just went, wow, I'm in a new phase in my life, or I've grown past that, or that's not what I want anymore. And having to redefine that's probably been one of the hardest things. You can ask Mark, Mike, Pam, anytime I get any time with them at all, after our first initial joking around, it is always straight into, what are you dreaming about? What are you working for? I am always asking them, what do you guys want? What are you pushing for? What's making you wake up this morning, and getting you excited to wake up tomorrow? Always trying to find that bigger goal and that bigger vision and that bigger dream. Because I feel selfish sometimes, and some of you guys may feel the exact same way, that you have so much more than what you ever started this for. You have so much more than you ever thought you could ever deserve or want. And it feels selfish to think or ask for more. And so I'm constantly trying to push those thoughts aside and evolve to grow my dreams to crazy, insane dreams. because my family deserves it, and because the people around me deserve it, and because the $1 million a year that I want to be giving back, whatever that's going toward, those people deserve it. And so anyway, that's all. I'll look at the chat now and stop.
Leah asked if you can share what are some of the things that they've told you about what their dream is.
Well, okay. So one example was, I talked to Mark. This was like a crazy thing that happened. I was actually visiting Pam, and I was there for a couple of days, and I messaged Mark and said, hey, if you're at the office, I would love to just come by and, you know, say hi or whatever. And he sent me a Starbucks order, because this was before keto coffee. Like, it was like a girly vanilla latte or something cheesy like that, like with extra foam or whip or something. And so anyway, I like bring him this latte like I'm his barista. Well, he was so sweet, and he had like set aside 20 minutes. And so we're sitting in his office, and I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be in here. Like, I'm sure he's got way more important work to do. And he like turns his phone off and sits down. He's like, how are you? And we sat and we talked. And that was one of the questions that I asked him then. And he told me then, I don't know if I feel like maybe we shouldn't be recording this. I think he'd be fine to say it, because we're obviously open there now. But I remember him saying, like, I don't know if I have it in me to open Asia. Like, if I've got it'll be like opening a whole new business. Like, I don't know if the right people are in place, and I don't know if I have the energy to basically do It Works 2.0. And for those of you that have been in the business for a little while, like, this was September of 2015. And so to the next year is whenever, he got cancer. And so to know that, like, God was kind of preparing him, and that he was already tired, and then to go through all of that he did with this cancer. And anyway, so fast forward, I ended up having a conversation very similar to him. Poor guy, like, he can't get away from me. But when I was at the top 20 thing last year, I went and asked Isabella, where's Mark sitting? Sit me right next to him. And so I did. And I had like 5 questions, and because I was not in a good place, like mentally, I didn't know if I still had the passion to keep going. Like, I was showing up, but I couldn't figure out like what I was really, really still in this for. And that's just me being 100% honest. I wasn't in a great spot. And there was some other personal things that were happening too. But anyway, I asked him then the exact same thing. What is keeping you going? Like, what is making you wake up? And you guys, I mean, he sat there and with tears in his eyes, talked about his cancer and what he went through, and that he felt like God had given him another chance, that he wasn't, and that God kept reminding him, you're not done. You're not done. You're not finished. And they announced that they were opening in, I always want to say North Korea. It's not North Korea. We're in South Korea. That he was ready to open in Asia, and that God had showed him like It Works 2.0. And so you just think of like that whole reinvention and everything that they've been working so hard at, and to know that we are being led by a man that is not done, that is not hanging up his hat, that's not just out at the ranch and on the island every weekend, just chilling and watching us work. Like, he is in it. And that means so much to me. And so, he has huge goals for us, and I think that is what, he wants more, his goals like have to do with, I forget the number of millionaires that he wanted on Millionaires Club, like that he wanted to add to Millionaires Club this next year. Those kinds of things were the numbers that he were throwing out. It all had to do with us, which I thought was awesome. So.
Someone said this in the chat, but I think it's important to point out just what you said about like losing your fire and trying to figure out if it's still, if this was the right place for you or whatever the, thought process was. But I think it's important to point out that a lot of us go through that. Maybe it's not like we're looking for a different opportunity, but just like, what am I doing? Especially when you've lost rank or, anything like that, volume's dropped, or someone leaves that you were really close to, any of those things that make you question what you're doing. And I think it's important to point out that you can have those thoughts, and it doesn't mean that this isn't the place for you, that you can't build it back stronger, that you can't find a stronger why. I think sometimes people are so quick to just be like, well, that was a good run. Like, I guess, they start looking around at other options or whatever might happen. But you guys are allowed to have those like meltdowns where you take a few minutes and you're like, what am I doing? And you can come back from that. And I think a lot of us, are prime examples of breaking free of that. And it's just a part of, I think, just being a business owner, to be honest, that you're going to have those moments where maybe you do feel crazy for still being here or still fighting for whatever it is, and or continuing to put the same goal out there that you've put out there for 5 years and you still haven't hit it. Like I did that for many, many years of like, this is the year I'm going pres, or this is the year I'm going ambassador. And then it would be another year past. And it's okay to have those thoughts, but then you've got to talk to someone or figure it out and sit down and, reassess why you're doing this and find something that'll push you. And I don't know, I don't know if that makes sense, but I think so many people just, they feel like they're the only one that has ever had those thoughts. And you can totally take a 360 in this. It's like marriage or like any other strong relationship. Like there might be days where it's hard and you don't know that you can continue on, or you don't know that you can get over a certain obstacle, but you can, and your, love for that person or your bond can come back stronger than it was even before that. And there's so many things that line up with this business and marriage that, and I know we've talked about that quite a few times, but I think you just have to treat it that way and know that you can fight for it and you can have that back, but it's going to take daily consistent action to make that happen.
Yeah. And I also want to point out, like, I don't know that it was even so much, like you mentioned, it wasn't even so much just, is it works for me? Because I've truly never felt like there was another company that could even hold a candle to what we've got.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's some that are flashy, at certain times, but we've joked about this, like we have literally seen it all come through. I mean, I can tell you guys how many in 8 years we have watched jump in and been like, oh no, they're the new it girl, and then they're like not even around right now, or they got bought out, or they're all suing each other, or they've gone under. Like I can just tell you how many I'll see it, and it just floods my news feed, and I'm like, oh crap, is that I'm gonna lose my team to this or whatever, and then they're gone in 2 years. I don't even hear from them anymore. And so it wasn't even that as much as it was just, again, it was so much internal there. I really feel like that was kind of the start to God really kind of cracking open some stuff inside of me that was wrong and that I had to fix and I had to address. And it was kind of manifesting itself within my business, and that doubt and that fear, can I do this again? And am I someone that can, that's one of those like core lies that I've told myself for a long time. I'm a one-hit wonder. I don't even like saying it out loud because I don't even say it anymore, but like, those are some of those like fears. And like, I know I did it once, but, I'm tired of putting it out there again that I'm going double ambassador, I'm going to be a black diamond, or I'm going to whatever it is. And then it doesn't happen like you said, and you feel stupid and you feel, well, am I wrong for having that goal? Or is that not what God wants for me? Or I've literally run through the gamut on that stuff. And again, it hasn't been, is it works my home? It's just been, is this still for me? Can I still do this? Do I want to do this? And I had to, a couple of things happened. Number one, I had to get really, really, really quiet. I'm a bit of a talker, if you don't know this about me. I have a hard time shutting up. I process everything out loud. I say it, and then I go, yeah, that's how I feel. Or, oh crap, that was stupid. So I don't know how to have internal dialogue very well. My friends know this, poor things. And so getting quiet is extremely difficult for me, but I got very, 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 very quiet. And I really tried to listen to what God had for me. And I asked that question very specifically. Am I done? Is this still for me? Can I keep doing this? Do I want to do this? I asked the hard questions. And then I listened and I waited and I listened some more and I waited some more. And you guys, God answered those questions. I truly feel like because I was finally quiet enough to listen to what he had to say, and I wasn't watching Facebook for the answer or watching somebody else for the answer or asking anybody else the question. I was finally got quiet enough to ask that, and then listen and wait for the answer. And the other thing too was just realizing that I had kind of surrounded myself with some people that were doubting. And when you're in a place like that, misery loves company, right? And so when you're in a place like that, you have to be very, very, very protective of your headspace and of your brain. And you need to be around people that are going to speak truth and light and love into you, because that's, you know, when you're the most vulnerable, that is not when you need to be trying to pull somebody else up, right? I've used that analogy before, where like, you know, you're standing up on this chair and somebody else is down here on the ground. Like, how much easier is it for them to pull you down than for you to pull them up? There's going to be a time whenever you can go back and help people, but you have got to take care of your own brain space first, or you're not going to be any good for anybody. And so I had to remove some people in a few of my circles then, and that was really hard because I liked those people and they were fun. But man, when I really listened to the kinds of things that they were saying, either about the company or about themselves or whatever it was not uplifting. It was not good. And so I had to just remove myself from some things. And then the other thing was, that's really where the self-development, like the deeper self-development journey started, and kind of really digging in, and not just, oh, I'm going to do some self-development for my business today. Like that stuff is great. Don't get me wrong. But again, some of that was kind of masking some deeper stuff that I really had to get rid of, like the root of some ugliness that was in my heart that God wanted to work with me on. And so anyway, that's not a real easy answer, but there's the answer there.
I love it. Well, I didn't miss anything in the chat. I think I would just tell you guys, from coming from someone that has put their goal out there a million times and not hit it, I think that your story is super important, and it's a huge part of the reason that you can't quit, is because your team needs to see you have that story and for you to eventually break free of it. I feel like that's one of the most powerful parts of my story, just to show people, like, you can put it out there and not hit it year after year after year, and then eventually it comes together and you're given the team that you prayed for, just like Tiff said in the chat, and it's all worth it. But if you don't put it out there, you're not going to hit it. Like, you still have to say it, and you have to tell your team to be bold about their goals and to put it out there, and don't get so shy and so timid about putting it out there because you didn't hit it the year before or the last time you said it. You still have to put it out there. And I just believe that it's a powerful part of your story, and more people are going to relate to that story on your team than that won't relate to that part of your story. So many of us go through the same journeys. It's just some of us are loud and open about it, and others of us are ashamed of it. And I just feel like if God gave you this path, it's because he needs you to walk through it, and he needs, you know, you're going to have someone on your team that needs to hear it at some point. So some point you just have to embrace it and know that. I'll just read this last thing that I sent to my leaders tonight, and then we can kind of close it up. But I found it in an old notebook. I'm sure it came from a training or something that you did, Ashley, but I wrote, if you've built it once and some people quit on you, do it again, but this time do it with more knowledge, skill, and appreciation. Stop looking left and right to see what other people are doing. Everyone on social media is showing their highlight reel. Focus on making your behind the scenes better. And so I know that stuck with me, even though I don't remember putting that in a notebook. But just, if you're in a stage, and I don't like saying rebuilding, but let's say like you are in a spot where you're trying to regain your rank, or, you know, maybe your goal is not even promoting, it's just getting that extra paycheck back. And you just have to look at the people that you've left, or the volume that you lost, is a lesson that you're going to learn from, and it's going to make you a better leader. And the next time it comes around, you're going to be so much more freaking grateful for it, because you know what to appreciate. And I know Ashley and I have both, we saw a crazy amount of momentum when we first joined this business. The second time we saw that insane momentum, we did not take a single penny of our paycheck for granted. We never like complained or, you know, were disappointed in those pay raises that we got. And so it was a lesson we had to learn. But I think sometimes the second time around, or the third time, or the fourth time, you just have so much more appreciation for your team, for your downline, for your paychecks. And I think it's just God's way of humbling us sometimes. So.
Well, and you're going to keep building upon things that you feel like you've even lost. You know, I mean, people talk about rebuilding or starting over, and it's so funny when you hear that, because we're not starting from scratch. I think that's why some people walk away. It's like, you're not starting from scratch. If you think about a building that's 20 stories high, and then let's say 10 of those stories get knocked down, like, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from level 10, and then you're going to build up again, and then you're going to be at level 30, and then maybe 10 more fall. Well, now you're starting from level 20. Let's go back and let's build again. And I just kind of picture it that way, like all of these big, huge cinder blocks just being piled on top. And even if some of them get knocked off, like, I'm never starting from the ground. Like, nobody on here is starting from zero volume, with zero people, with zero knowledge, with zero anything. Like, at the very least, all of us are at the very least starting with knowledge and things we would do different and things that we will do different the next time around. And so each time that I'm thinking about rebuilding and who it's going to be and who I'm going to work with and where I'm going to go and all of that stuff, I'm not starting from nothing. I'm starting with something, even if it's just the knowledge of, you know, and crap that I've dealt with, that I've pushed through, that, like you, I loved that. I wrote that down about focus on making your behind the scenes amazing. Like, that's the kind of life that I want to have, not just where the highlight reel looks good, but man, I want even the tough stuff, and even the rebuilding, and even the not fun, and even all of that to be amazing too. So anyway, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on and sharing all of your knowledge. And I don't know, just, you're a vet now in the company. Isn't that weird?
Vet. It's so weird. So weird. Well, I would love to pray for you guys really fast if y'all don't care. And then,
yes,
yeah.
Perfect.
And you'll have
we love you. Thank you.
Yeah. God, thank you so much for just this incredible group of women. And I just pray a special blessing on their business. I pray that they would grow in their business, but God, that you would grow them spiritually, that you would grow them mentally, that you would grow them emotionally, that you would grow their marriages and their families. Lord, that this business would simply just be another avenue for you to be able to teach us more about yourself, more about your grace, more about how much you love us. I pray that we enjoy the journey, that we really take pride, and that we take joy in the process and in the growth of learning, that we don't just set that to the side and only want the highs, God, but that we are willing to walk through the middle part of the journey, walk through the beginning, all of it, as many times as we need to, for you to show us a little bit more about you, God, and who you want us to be. And so I just thank you for this incredible business. It's still so insane to me that we get to do this, that we get to have so much fun doing it, that we get to learn along the way, that we get to help people all along the way. It's such an incredible thing to be a part of. And I never take for granted just that courage that you gave me to be able to say yes. And so thank you for that. Thank you for all these women on here that said yes. And I pray that you just fill them up, and that you give them that extra measure of courage to be able to go out and ask even more people to join them on their journey, God. We just love you so much. Thank you for the good stuff. Thank you for the hard stuff. We appreciate all of it. We love you, and it's your name I pray. Amen.